What's up? I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast,
where we interview successful businessmen and women to let you in on why success doesn't have a single formula to follow.
We also have a little bourbon tasting along the way, because why not?
Why not?
So guys, please enjoy this episode and let us know your thoughts at Bourbon and Business Podcast on Instagram.
Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here at the AC Hotel in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Now people won't know if it was your voice or mine because I was saying the words at the same time.
Are you glitching or what?
Yeah. Welcome to the Matrix.
I'm pretty sure people will know that you were not saying it the way you were moving your mouth.
Did you? I can't perfect that accent.
Well, you want to tell our listeners about this AC Hotel?
Yeah, man. We're at the AC Hotel in Ridgeland, Mississippi, the premier hotel here in the Jackson Metro. If you have a work event, if you've got people coming into town that you like, put them up in the AC. If you don't like them, put them up in the AC, and they may like you, whether you like them or not. So there you go.
All right.
You want to take the red pill or the blue pill?
I have no clue. You want to?
Our friendship is in jeopardy.
Do you want to introduce our guest this morning?
I do. Today we have special guest Hunter Flint, president at Steadfast Employment. Hunter, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Glad to have you. And then what are we sipping on, Dakota?
We're sipping on another Penelope. Golly, I feel like they come out with a new drink like every week. This is apple cinnamon old fashioned. It's a pre-made cocktail, which is kind of like what they're switching into, which is interesting.
So we had their other old fashioned. I think we liked it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it was like the peach colored bottle. Yeah.
Yeah. This one, a little sweet for me.
Okay.
So as far as the taste of it, the taste is good. I think that, it's made well. So it doesn't taste like you're drinking a, cheap $2 drink that you got. So it doesn't give you that vibe. And I think that there will be people out there that do like it because it is so sweet. For me, though, I'm going to have to give it a 6.8, which is not my favorite. But if you build up some suspension.
I was thinking you were going to go like a 6.7, like there's a 7 somewhere in your number.
I'm dyslexic, man.
That's okay.
Anyways, 6.8. If you want a bottle of this, go to Cheers Vineyard in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. You can get a bottle, and they have a selection of a ton of different things.
Yep.
So
shout out to Cheers. Thank you for your
great place to get it. Well, Hunter, we appreciate you coming on this morning.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
We like to always start this. Just tell our listeners where you're from, and then how you got to the point of starting Steadfast Employment.
Your social security number, your birthday,
bank
account information.
Red pill, blue pill, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm from the Florida, Mississippi area. So grew up.
Tyler, this is where you go, oh, do you know my cousin so-and-so?
I mean, it's a small town deal, right? But I grew up in Flowood, lived in Jackson as well. So I had the best of both worlds, really. But, loved the area. Moved off to Texas for a little bit, got homesick and came back home because, you leave Mississippi, you gotta come back at some point. But what was the following question? Just how did we start the
Yeah, so how did you get to the point of, starting Steadfast?
Well, kind of a long story, and maybe even a boring story. But so when I graduated from Mississippi State, I took the first job I could get, going to Texas. So I was dating somebody at the time. I was in love at the time, and followed her out there and took just the first job I could get, which was in recruiting, leading to sales. I knew I wanted to be in sales. That just, all the things you hear in college. There's the money, you take people to lunch, networking, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of a people person, I guess, and enjoy doing that. The company was called Aerotech. It's a huge staffing company. They sit under the Allegiance Group umbrella, and they've since kind of changed their model. But Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, he owns Aerotech.
Okay.
So started out there, had no idea what staffing and recruiting was. I just assumed recruiting, it's a college sports thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know what the heck that was, and quickly fell in love with it. It's super fast-paced industry, depending on, the verticals you're in. But as a recruiter, I would help find people that are in skilled trade, like welders, electricians, HVAC techs, people like that. Did that for several years in Texas, really long Texas, I should say. I always say East Texas, but some people think that's Houston and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But so came back home, and I I guess the short and skinny of it is my roommate at the time accidentally, kind of a freak accident, right? Accidentally shot me. And,
Did you say shot?
shot? Yep. Yep.
Like with a shot?
Not from Penelope. But no, yeah.
That's a bummer.
But no, 38 revolver, full metal jacket.
Goodness.
It's freak accident, right? Complete accident. And again, still working for Aerotech at the time, and but out of the Jackson, Mississippi office. And so that put me out of work for quite some time.
Where did you get shot, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, it was the head, right? It was the right side of the head. Had to have again, if you're a medical person listening to this, I'm gonna butcher all the terminology, so forgive me. My wife's a nurse, and so she always gives me grief about that. But had to have a craniectomy essentially, and so it's kind of gross, but they take a portion of your skull off to let the brain heal. There's a lot of swelling involved. So there are two choices, right? Either we let the brain continue to swell, and that can have long-term implications, or we do the craniectomy. There's some complications with that too, but it allows the brain to heal essentially. So they chose the latter. I had no choice in the matter. I was heavily sedated. Yeah, I mean, between the day it happened and staying in the hospital was about a month and some change. And of course, there's the physical rehab, the occupational things like, learning how to tie your shoe again and tie your tie, all that kind of stuff that you just have to have for everyday life. So I'm trying to think the timeline of events, but somewhere in between that and when I started working again, I kind of thought like, well, at some point I'd like to start a business. I didn't know what it was going to be in. Started working for another local staffing company. And at that point I was like, look, I know I want to start a business. I know I want it to be a staffing company. I want to take the best of what I learned here and here, take that, make it my own, and leave the bad, right? And just make this a great place to work for, because, and I won't say who and where, but I've had great bosses in the past. Shout out to Joe Swinson at Aerotech. He's not there anymore, but just one of those guys that you run through a wall for, really. But then I've had bad bosses too. I think we all have, right? And so
We have Adam. He's the good one.
I won't say anything, right? Just the opportunity to build something and make it a great place to work. I think a lot of people say that, but like we want to make sure our people are taken care of.
Yeah.
I think I went down a different path than what you guys are asked.
That's
but
perfect.
No. Well,
There are no wrong rabbit holes.
okay, gotcha. I can
Not on this podcast. Really.
well, talk a little bit about that. You work for this large corporation for a long period of time.
Yep.
And then you decided, hey, I'm about to hang up my own shingle and go out on my own. What was that process like, going from working there to starting your own thing?
Well, man, that was tough, right? I was making a living at the time. I married my wife in December of 2017. So forgive me.
Yeah.
But married her.
We'll clip that part.
Yeah, please do. It's the long beat, right? But she was a nurse, and I was making a decent living with the other company I was working for. But just over the course of months and even a couple of years, like, I think I can do this. And I had it's not something we decided to do overnight, right? It wasn't like I'm going to quit and I'm going to start a company. There were several nights where it was just we're up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning going, well, if we do this, what does it look like?
Yeah.
And when do we jump? Because at the time, we're in our late 20s, early 30s, and, we wanted to have kids. We don't know when to do that. When's the right time? And all that stuff, which is kind of a funny story too. But there was a lot of buildup. And about 6 months prior to us actually starting it was like when we knew 6 months out, all right, I'm going to do this. What's the best way to do it? When you decide to take that leap of faith, there's a lot of sleepless nights that people don't talk about it. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, people see the what's the iceberg? You see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see what happens below the surface. The sleepless nights and the panic attacks. Not that we had those, but just all the stuff that goes with it.
No, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we started in May of 2020. So, I mean, right smack dab in the middle of COVID. And that was a tough time for a new company to be in business, because nobody was allowing you to do it. It's like, you got to have 10 masks on, you got to be shot, all this kind of stuff, right? It was touch and go for the first year and a half, right? And couple that with going back to my wife and I wanting to have kids, it was, all right, we want to have kids. And we really, in May and June of the year we started, like, well, let's go ahead and start trying, because we know so many people who have trouble with that.
Yeah.
And we just assumed, okay, that's going to happen to us too. we'll have a child or get pregnant in 6, 12, whatever months. I mean, it wasn't a month later, guys, that I came home and she looked at me and said, I think I'm pregnant. Like, there's no way that happened. Is it mine? No. It's really cool when planning to start a company at first. And then stuff like that starts to hit and you go, oh, this is like,
We're responsible now.
it's
Yeah.
go time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and there are a lot of late nights, not just working, but a lot of like, you're having trouble falling to sleep and, you're thinking, are we doing this the right way? How should we even completely reinvent the wheel here? That's essentially how we started the company. Right?
Well, what was that first year in business like?
Tough, man. I mean, like you going back to what we just, what I was just saying, it's not glamorous. Like unless you get lucky and land, X number of clients or whatever. And people do that, right? But for us, it's funny. I told my dad before we started the company, it'll be my luck that we'll go into, like the Great Depression or, there'll be a zombie apocalypse or whatever it is. And COVID kicks off, right? And, we're too far down the rabbit hole to back out at this point. We know we're going to do it. And so the first, we didn't make money for a year and a half.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think I started paying myself a little bit until the fall of 2021. And even that was like, well, I've got to make sure I'm paying my vendors first.
Yeah.
I've got to make sure I'm paying payroll, right?
Got to have the stomach for it.
Dude, yeah, for sure. Like they just, it's again, I'm not downgrading hustle culture at all. Cause I mean, you need people who are out there like, the David Goggins of the world, or it's the Jocko, like all, people like that, Hermosi. But I mean, it's real. Like, you have those, I guess the anxiety that comes with it. And like, man, I'm going to be a dad soon. I got to provide for my family.
Well, and I think it's like, anything, you got to really, like you talked about, plan and count the cost of what you're taking on. I think it's very unwise if you're jumping in to start a business and you have, maybe if it's just you're not married, no kids, yeah, maybe you can do that and it's not a big deal. But when you do have a family involved, I mean, you do have to think about, hey, I may not be able to pay myself.
Yeah.
Can we live? And I think a lot of people, we see a lot of businesses fail, I think, in that first year just because those thoughts never enter their mind. A lot of people think that you're just going to set up shop and you're going to start making money. And, maybe you could have did that, 60 years ago, but today there's so many options people can use for different things out there. You actually have to have a plan, and then you got to have time to actually get your name out there and people trust you to do business with you. So I think for all our listeners, that's a good point. Hey, if you are planning on starting a business, we encourage you, go for it, but do some planning before you do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Got to plan. I mean, there's too many variables, right? You can't plan for everything. So you're never going to know fully until you just get out there and do it. But you can at least create some variables in your head, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody stole Mike Tyson's quote, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And so, we had this vision, we had this, on paper.
That's what Tyler told me right before.
That's right, yeah. And so, I mean, but those are going to happen.
Yeah.
Those are going to happen in your first year, 5. We're still,
Yeah, even longer.
yeah. I mean, just because we are where we are today, we're not putting our feet up on the table saying we're here, we made it. Like, we know there's other obstacles to come for sure.
You got to keep pushing. Yeah. The second you get complacent as a business owner is the second your business starts failing.
One thing you talked about was y'all care deeply about your employees, the culture. Talk about how y'all have been able to create a positive culture where you work, where people actually want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, early on, you're begging people, you're hoping people are going to come work with you and for you, right? Because I mean, you don't have anything. You have nothing to say. We're going to be a great company, and the people you hire are going to go, "Are you? Like, are we?" Like, I don't see. I see a plan on paper, but how are you going to get us there? So
Sell that vision.
yeah, you have to. And man, we've gotten so lucky over the years with the first hires that we made, right? I mean, I think of, Sydney Sinclair was our first hire. It's October of 2021. First hire besides my wife and parents and things like that. And she's grown with the company ever since. She's still with us, right? She's, came in and started, recruiter, and just everything, right? And so we wear a lot of different hats, but I think the question was, how do you make it a good place to work for, right? There's a great book, and I'm forgetting the author now, called Small Giants. And I guess the premise is, there's all these different case studies on businesses that go, just grow. We want to go from 1 million to 100 million and so on and so forth. But what are the how do you get there and provide the same level of service to your clients and your employees? That's the trick. And there's no magic bullet to it. I think it starts with your leadership team, right? Making sure that your people know that, hey, we genuinely care about you. I mean, sure, you can have great pay and people care about that. I mean, it's really important in today's world, the way inflation is and everything else. But of course, the benefits that come with it, those are almost kind of expected now, right? Like those are like kind of non-starter. So you got to find, I don't want to say creative ways, but you genuinely have to care for your people.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have those one-on-one conversations, sit down with them. Hey, where's your head at? How can we help you? What do you need from us? I mean, the reality is that the way the world is today, more than likely, there's two working parents in a home. And so it's not only the dad working or the mom or either or, they're both working. So who's taking care of the children? Who has the time to pick up the children, to taking the extracurricular activities and all that kind of stuff? So you've got to be understanding of like, hey, look, yeah, like this is steadfast employment is really important to me. And I work late nights. I work, past 5 a good bit. I need to get better at that. But your people have a life outside of work. And so you got to be understanding of that. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? They're the people you have in your team, they're not robots, right? They're people. They have a life outside of this. I think that's probably like the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right. Just remembering that people do have a life outside of work. I think there's a lot of companies out there that think, this company comes first. Well, that's not the reality for anybody that works with that company other than the owner.
Yeah.
That's the reality is most people that are working there, their kids come first, which they should.
Absolutely.
Their family comes first. And I think a lot of times you got to, if you want to have a good culture, if you want to have people that want to be there, then you have to give them some freedom to be able to actually live what their dream is. Because their dream more than likely is, hey, I want to have a great family life for that over time. And how do we balance that into work and making sure work allows them to do that, but they can also be successful in their career field.
We're seeing a trend, and I do want to say this. Bo Burlingham is the author of Small Giant.
Okay.
The book.
Gotcha.
I thought y'all were talking about that movie Little Giants when we were kids.
Great.
Back in the icebox, yeah.
But I will say there is a trend among even older generations now. It just feels like a cultural shift to work-life balance being a main player in who I work for, right? There was a lady who worked at a company, I don't know if it was Facebook or what, out in California, and she was making, I don't know, well over 6 figures, right? And then all of a sudden, hey, back to the office came into effect, right? And they were like, hey, COVID's over. We want you to move back to the office. And she was like, no, I can't. I've gotten used to this home life. I get to see my kids. I don't have to commute for 2 hours a day anymore, like, and I'm still making money. And they were like, well, you're going to have to take a pay cut in a different position. She said, do it. Where do I sign? Like, it was that important. And it was a significant pay cut. I'm talking like $80,000, $90,000 pay cut. Like, that's a lifestyle shift pay cut. You know what I mean? But she took it because that work-life balance was way more important to her than just the money was and just the culture of today. So I think we're seeing a shift to that in a lot of different areas. And everybody's like, look, take care of your family first, work second. And it's kind of like, oh, this is what that's supposed to look like, And I feel like a lot of other cultures, not to hate on American culture in any way, but a lot of other cultures do take that motto a lot more seriously than we do.
I mean, it's a balancing act, right? I mean, as a company, you've got to have high standards. You got to have this steadfast way, right? When you come in, you've got to have our core values, and I'm going to use my EOS terminology because that's our operating process. You've got to have our core values, but you also got to get the job, want the job, and have the capacity to do it. But if you're I sound almost hypocritical here, but if you're missing work consistently, if you're consistently late, if you're underperforming, you're really dragging everybody else down, and that affects everybody in the end. And so I agree, work-life balance is incredibly important, but you also, if you're on the team, you've got to commit to being on the team too, because if you're holding us back, then we're never going to get to where we want to be, and people are going to stay in the seats that they're in today and not, be able to grow, to go to the locations, be promoted, all that kind of stuff. Right. So I'm kind of talking out of both ends of my mouth here, but both are equally important. I agree with you.
Well, and I think that comes down to when you're bringing someone into the company, you set the standard then. If you have a standard and say, hey, this is how we do things and this is how we always do things, and we're going to hold everybody in this room accountable to the standard, there's no confusion when you get 3 months in and they're like, okay, well, I was late 3 days in a row and now he's holding me accountable to the standard. I think where we see an issue is a lot of times companies bring people in and there is no standard,
No,
no. And then they feel like, okay, well, there may be a top performer at the company and they're late every day.
Yeah.
But because they're a top performer, nobody says anything to them. You got a bottom performer that's late every day and they're holding the bottom performer say, hey, you got to be here on time. And I think, I think the frustration and confusion a lot of people have a lot of time because their companies, a lot of times just run by the seat of their pants and there's no standards. I think if you have a standard, you're being compassionate to your people because they know, hey, this is what is expected of me. And I think there's so many places where there is no expectation. It's kind of just based off how the manager feels that day.
that goes back, to the hiring process from the get-go. Hey, this is who we are and this is what we expect. That way, coming into it, we have these high standards. Think about I used to, growing up, I was not a Patriots fan at all, right? Like the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning days, I was always going for Peyton Manning. But you look back and you go, I think it's 7 Super Bowls, right? Tom Brady and them. But they had the Patriot way. Randy Moss, who had just one of the best seasons of all time with the Patriots, I think the year after asked for a pay raise and said, they're not paying me enough. And Bill Belichick said, go, right? We don't really tolerate that kind of stuff. And, you hear stories about Tom Brady too, like Bill Belichick, who's the head coach, Tom Brady, one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time, Bill Belichick yelling at him in the meeting rooms, right? So you got to hold everybody accountable. Going back to your point, if you have a top performer, but they're consistently late and they're bringing down the culture of the company and they're toxic, you got a tough decision to make at that point, right? And so, you got to weigh all options. But yeah, I agree with both of you guys.
For sure. And knowing how to talk to those people as well, right? Like not everybody, there's the coach adage, right? And some people need to scream in the face and some people need to be talked to very gently because otherwise you're going to just demoralize them and they're not going to perform at all.
You've got to have different leadership styles for sure. Alex Ferguson, who I don't know if you guys watched Manchester United growing up. He's Sir Alex Ferguson. He managed that team for him. They call it the hair dryer treatment, right? So if you screwed up and you did something, man, he was in your face about it, the hair be blowing back and all that. And then I think of Roy Keane, the greatest captain of all time for Manchester United. Same way. He's in your face.
Yeah.
But you couldn't do that with certain people because they're just not going to respond well to it at all. But not that. By the way, not that we yell at people. I hope you don't think that. But because it's just not our style. But you've got to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's we talk about him a lot on here. I know Dakota.
Alex Ferguson.
No, Nick Saban.
Oh, there we. Are you a Bama guy?
No, I'm an Ole Miss fan, but I'm a fan.
Which is so ironic. But he talks about this.
But I'm a fan of Nick Saban and his process. Nobody goes to Alabama and questions what the standard is.
No,
and there's nobody. If Saban is to hold one of them accountable, there's nobody offended by that because they know number one, he lives the standard every day. When he wakes up every day, he practices what he preaches. So if he's going, and you can respect that in a leader. You can see a leader that says, okay, he's not asking me to do anything that he wouldn't do. And then also, he's not asking me to do anything that he's not expecting of anybody else.
And that's not for everybody, right? We've heard plenty of stories over the years. I'm sure you guys have too. Like recruits that'll go to Alabama when Nick Saban was there and they see what practices are like and they see what the meeting rooms are like. They go, oh, this is way too intense for me. I'm going to go over here.
Yeah.
And so you want the A players that go and go, I'm buying into this. This is my jam. This is, I want to win a exactly.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
So,
it all comes back to what the goal is, right? Like, what is your goal? Is your goal to win championships? There's a way that we do that here.
Yeah.
If your goal is to just increase your NFL stock, then you're not going to do it here. You can do that somewhere else.
Yeah. Chad Johnson or Ocho Cinco said this about the Patriots too. I've never been in the military. He said, I don't think he has any families in the military, but he said, this is the closest to what I think the military would be like.
Yeah.
You come in at this time, you leave at this time. This is, we have an agenda, point A to point Z. This is what we do. And so anyway,
That's for sure.
Great. Well, I think it's a good time for a bourbon break. Dakota, you want to give us your thoughts?
For sure.
Penelope.
The Penelope Apple Cinnamon Old Fashioned. I thought it was good, not great. Very sweet, like you said, maybe too sweet. It'd be great cold or over ice, I think.
It says it right there on the bottle.
It would add, I'm looking at a glass. It has a little cherry in there for you. So good intro into cocktails, probably. If you're not like, you've ever had an old fashioned, you're like, oh, that's just like a little too much bourbon or whiskey for me. This would be a great intro into to that arena. And I think it was a little too strong on the apple taste. I would like more cinnamon, I think. But I'm going to land at a 7.3.
7.3. So let's land at a 7.0
Sounds
for the Penelope. And to all our listeners, again, this is the Waze Energy Bourbon Break. Check out our sponsor, Waze Energy, and then also Cheers Vineyard in Gluckstadt. And back to the podcast. Well, Hunter, as we round this home here, tell our listeners, if they're listening to this and they say, hey, we do have some employment needs, we have, an issue keeping, people coming in and good people coming in, how do they get in touch with you?
We have 3 offices, right? Our main principal office is in the Jackson, Mississippi, and Flowood. We have an office in Houma, Louisiana, and in Metairie, Louisiana.
How do they find you? So number one, number one, if say there's someone out there that work in your specific trades and they're looking to find work, how do they get in touch with you? And then, of course, I'm sure industries reach out to y'all as well.
Absolutely, yes. The obvious answer is our social media presence, our website as well. I mean, we got a phone number through all 3 offices in there. And I mean, to your point, right, there is, if you're looking for work, we work in all different industries, right? I mean, we don't do any kind of engineering or accounting or anything like that, but, our main focus is going to be skilled trade and light industrial stuff. So think about, forklift drivers, manufacturing assembly, picker packers, people like that. On the flip side, skilled trade. So we do a lot of electrical work, welders, HVAC techs, plumbers, people like that. And guys, you know this. I mean, just the demand for that kind of stuff is crazy high right now. And so I think the people that are doing that probably aren't lacking the work if they want to work. The problem right now for our clients is like finding those people. And, there's only so many. Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, was on Sean Ryan's podcast the other day. And of course, he's been talking about this for years and years. And we've known about this for years and years because, there's a deficit in skilled trade workers at the moment. What we were taught growing up was that you had to go to college to make a living. You need a 4-year degree, maybe a master's or doctorate or whatever it is. And look, for certain people, that still holds true. Like I want my surgeon to go to medical school, right? And I want my accountant. The same thing. I want her to be a CPA. So, but for what we were taught, I feel like we've been misled in a way. There's so much opportunity in the skilled trades market right now to make a really good living and to make a ton of money, right? Going back to Mike Rowe, he said there's a deficit. We need in the next several years 400,000. That's the estimate. 400,000 to 500,000 electricians for these data centers, shipyard, construction, and everything in between. Right? And that's just electricians. That's not including welders or HVAC techs or plumbers. Think about it. I mean, the baby boomer generation, I hate to say, they're phasing out of the workplace. And so with that, there's an even bigger need for skilled trade right now. And so that's what we specialize in. But we also do some clerical stuff too, like, your typical receptionists, admin assistants, CSRs, people like that. But you guys can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or obviously our website, LinkedIn, and all that. So clients and potential people who are looking for work.
Yeah. And I would tell our listeners, listen to this, you might bring up a good point because I did listen to that micro episode. You may have went to college for 4 years and be in the workforce and absolutely hate your career. There's nothing wrong with in your 20s, 30s, 40s to say, hey, I want to reskill. I want to go back into one of these skilled trades. I mean, you can do them most of the time. You can go to a night class and get certified on these things or sign up as an apprentice under people that are doing it. But you can still, even if you're already in a career, shift to that and make a great living.
You can learn it in a couple of years too.
For sure. Yes, definitely.
And make over 6 figures in that first year too, because there's such a need right now.
For sure.
You're going to work long hours. It's hard work. And you're not sitting behind a desk, but you're making really good money for your family.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and let's be real. There's nothing that you're going to do where you're going to make good money that's not going to require a lot of you. I mean, it's just not like that's
a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, unless you win the lottery. So, well, to all our listeners, however you stream this, we appreciate you listening. Give us a rating. Follow us on social media, and we'll see you next week.
I did it again.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
If you have any feedback or would like to be featured, reach out to us at bourbonandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Thanks again for listening.
Follow us for more content and info on the next episode.